Sorry if it's making noise on the microphone while I get everything set up here so you guys can see. Going through my webcam, and it seems like I have to work through my microphone and my camera because it's like right here and my face is right here. So, and I'm not quite sure why things are flipped around, but this is, oh man, that's going to drive me crazy. All right, everything's like backwards. So if you feel like things look a little weird, that's why. So I'm working on a gnome home. Here I have a piece of wood that I've varnished. It looks really shiny and cool. And on it, I've erected a scaffold of sticks made from stick like this. Broke them and pieced them together into this capricious kind of whimsical form and covered that with tissue paper using a glue and water wash. And now I'm going to finish that part on this section right here. I left a little bit open because when you paper this, the paper gets soggy and it gets loose and it will drape. And as you're trying to coat it, it gets pushed in, the walls get pushed in. So I leave a part of it open so that I can get my brush in there and push against it as I work, so I can keep them kind of, so it doesn't look like it's been smashed. And after that's set, I have just a little bit left to do. So I'm doing that now. And I thought if you wanted to pop in and ask any questions about how it's done or just wanted to watch and listen to me prattle on about whatever, that's cool. I'll try to pay attention to the chat and answer your questions and say hello and all that stuff, because it's a live feed, so we might as well use it for the live part of it, right? So I just tear up tissue paper, wad it up. I use white because then I can apply any color and I don't have to worry about whatever color is already there. But you can use, like, if you have gift tissue paper that's come in a gift that's a different color, go ahead and use it. The gnome homes can be any color you want, really. You can have pink or red, or it doesn't have to be all natural, like green and weeds and stuff. So feel free to explore. I started making these, I don't know, around the late 1990s. I think I made my first one as a present for a friend of mine who really liked fairies, and she liked the fairy house idea she actually told me about. But it's a tradition that you share with, like, your granddaughter or your daughter. You go out into nature and you find some supply of, I say supplies, sticks and stuff like that, and you make a little home and you set it out, and then maybe the next time the child visits, if it's a grandparent, or the next day or whatever, if it's your daughter that you're doing this activity with, and you'd go out the next day and there'd be candy or something, some thank you treat or sign that there were fairies there. And it's kind of a really neat idea to do with kids, spark their imagination. So when she told me about that idea, I thought it was so cool, but I don't have any kids. I have nieces and nephews, but this is an activity that I'd really want. I don't think they would enjoy, and plus they're getting older now, so it doesn't really matter. But I thought, well, I'm not going to let that stop me. So I thought, oh, let's do this, but let's just take it up a notch. I'm an artist, so I used all kinds of stuff that I could find at, like, a florist shop, moss and raffia and just whatever, and put it together. And it, as I recall, it's kind of a monstrosity. It's my first one. It's completely overblown. I did it using plaster and straw together, and it was really hard to work with the materials, so the shape of it wasn't exactly what I would have preferred. But it's still really nice and unusual, and my friend really enjoyed it, so I started making more of them. It was a fun activity, and I wanted to kind of learn from my mistakes and change my process so that I can accomplish more of my intention. So I tried a number of different techniques, And eventually I happened upon a brief article from another artist who makes them, had been making them longer than I had been. And his were really elaborate, and they were sand casted plaster, which is, it's a really awesome process. But as you can imagine, it's not something that you can just pick up overnight. It takes, a lot of work and experimenting to get things working the way that he had it anyway. You could really see the skill that he had in putting these houses together, and they're just so beautiful and so much artistry, and just listening to the material and letting the material guide you, you could really see it in his work. And I wanted to do that, so I learned as much as I could from the very brief demonstrations that he had in like picture format. It'd have a picture of him doing whatever, and then a brief description of it, which really isn't a lot to go on, but it was quite generous of him as an artist to share that. And I'm really thankful. And I wish I could remember his name right off the top of my head. It'd take me 2 days to remember his name. But you'll find his work if you just Google fairy house images and look for like the oldest listings. You'll find his stuff. There's lots of knockoffs and people who copy him, because his stuff is beautiful, and that's how artists are. And everyone puts their own spin on it. But one of the things that I started doing that I hadn't noticed any other artists doing was using pine cone petals as shingles. So I had been doing that for, maybe a decade. And then I started seeing images of a kind of convergence of creativity where other artists have realized this material in the same way. And I thought that was really cool. And I'm absolutely certain they weren't copying. It's just that's how artists and creativity flows. It flows along the same lines oftentimes, and that's why people who don't make art like certain kinds of art in mass, because it flows along that mainstream line. So it was that one time where I kind of was mainstream, I guess. So right now I'm putting more paper on where I've put paper and just kind of reinforcing it so that it's more robust and can withstand existing in whatever environment it's in, like someone's home or an office or whatever. It's going to need to be cleaned. So it has to be durable enough for the lay person to take care of it and dust it, and to think about how your material is going to live, or your work is going to live. I've created a lot of really awesome artworks that haven't withstood the test of time, and it's a shame. I feel really bad. And just putting this wherever. I'm not really looking for spots that are particularly weak. I want this kind of randomness to account for any place that might actually be weak. And I'm using, the first time I went through, I used just white glue and water, no pigment or color of any kind, because there's nothing there already. So it's really easy to see where you've been. But if you've got layers on there, it's kind of hard to tell where you've reinforced it. So I use the pigment to give me an indication of, okay, I've been over this part, I've been over that part. I'm not particularly systematic. I'm like, finish this side, then that side, then the other. I go all around it, just kind of randomly. So it can make it hard to track stuff. Maybe I could change my process, but this works. So I chose to do a live video today. I have a video in the works to be uploaded, and actually involves this piece here. And I have a couple other videos that I'm working on, but right now I'm working full time to catch up. And that takes a lot of energy for me with my autism. Working full time is like working 80 hours a week. I work 40 hours a week, but it's like working 80 in terms of the amount of energy that it takes and just the effort that it takes out of me. I get done working and I just don't have it to be creative or to even want to talk to anyone. Even today, getting up, and my friend called me and I talked to him a little bit, and then I'm getting ready to do this video, and it's like I just don't feel like talking. I don't feel like saying anything. I don't feel like trying to think of things to say. And then there's a part of me that's like, you don't have to just do what you do, prattle on about whatever. No one cares. Chances are there won't be anyone in the chat to watch it anyway, so it'll just be like talking to a video, which I kind of do naturally, but a live feed, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of time when you do live feeds. They can last 20, 30 minutes, and I know people that could easily fill that with conversation, but they really don't say anything. They'll talk for 20 minutes, but there's not a lot that's said. Do you know people like that? I know this one lady, she gets 3 words out of her mouth. I'm like, get to the point, because you just know it's going to be a long, windy road to get to the point. And I'm sure along the way you'll be quizzed, because this person forgets what they're talking about. And they'll be like, what was I talking about? I can't say nothing. You were talking about nothing for 20 minutes. So if you want to know what that's like, just stay in here for 20 minutes. Stay in here for 20 minutes. You'll know what it's like. I am very happy to report that we have breathable air in the valley, and we have had breathable air, pretty good breathable air actually, for a few days now. It's it's amazing the difference it makes in how people. I work in the public, so I get to I'm exposed to the general mood of people, and this can cause it can cause some issues. It can make me feel down if everybody that comes in are turds that day. People have turd days. I have turd days. But when I get 100 customers that are all a bunch of turds because they feel bad, then that makes me feel like a turd. So it can be difficult. And that's another part of not doing videos and narrating them. Sometimes my mood, how I'm feeling, comes out in my tone of my videos. And I've gone back through my past videos, and I know what I was going through at the time I was making the video, and you can definitely hear it in my voice. You can hear that I'm just drained, that I've worked all day, and I'm at my limit of the amount of energy that I have, and it just comes out. There was a couple times I had a really bad flu, and I'm trying to do a video, and I just sound horrible. It's like, you should have just passed that up. But it's just, it kept me going, just keeps me going. But I'm not when I first started my YouTube channel a couple of years ago, I was really kind of, I don't know, fastidious is the word, or just hyper vigilant and always concerned with, what I was doing and how people were responding to it, and trying to feel my way in this new kind of expressive form. And that caused a lot of anxiety. It caused a lot of bad feelings. I can't tell you how many times I would click on my YouTube and I would just feel sad afterwards. And I didn't want to be like that. It's like, I wasn't like that before, and why am I like that now? Does it mean that much? And part of me is like, yes, it does mean that much, that this is a resource that people have. And I don't want it to feel like it's in vain. You put a lot of effort in it, and you want it to be noticed. You want it to be appreciated. That's what we all want. We all want to be noticed. We all want to be appreciated. And I feel in my regular life noticed, and I feel appreciated. So I shouldn't need YouTube as some kind of validation for that. But at the same time, when you put that much effort into something, you want to get a little bit back in terms of response. And I wasn't getting what I felt like I should get back. And that was just a matter of my expectations were unreasonable. And once I realized that, hey, you weren't like that before. You weren't all bent out of shape over things that you have no control over. It's like, why are you like that now? Let's get it back. Let's get it out of the weeds and, gain a little bit of control over my psyche. So that's why I haven't been as active on YouTube lately as I was before, because I just didn't want to feel pressed. And when people are pressed, they get all anxious, and then the quality of what they're producing is less sincere. And the quality of what I've produced has never been that great. So I don't think I've ever really had that problem. It is what it is. So I've got this completely filled in now. I have a little gap here where I'm going to give like an indication of a window somehow. I have to figure out where my roof line is going to be. So I think I'm going to have pine cone petals going down here, glued on for part of the roof, maybe a window here. This is the other part of the roof. Pine cone petals will go down. So it's kind of just like a pitched roof like this, but it's twisted. You can see there's a twist to it, which I like. I love that whimsy, that naturalness. It seems like the house wasn't just built, but it kind of grew that way. And that's what really sells this as a sculpture. So I'm not sure what I can do now. I think I just have to let it dry. I'm pretty much at a spot now. And I guess that's it for this live feed. I wanted to fill you in on, why my YouTube channel has the feel now that it has compared to my past couple of years. I'm getting more comfortable with this. There's really less on the line for me in terms of payoff for this channel, because everything's going the way it should. It's just doing what it does. And YouTube is such a wonky, weird platform right now. I hate to invest so much into something so unstable. So I have to find where effort and payoff intersect, and that's where I'm at right now. So I hope you stick with me. I hope you keep checking out my videos as I make them. Again, I'm going to have a couple more videos, a little higher quality, but it's going to be down the road a little bit as I get more time to do them. Like, I just spent 16 minutes trying to just double paper this. I have to let it dry now, and then I can come back in. I have to cut pine cone petals. I mean, there's a lot of steps. It takes a lot of time. A lot of effort goes into making these, and I'm glad that you've stopped by and watched this later since no one was able to pop in. I didn't figure anyone was. I just wanted to get a video up for this Labor Day without having to labor on it, because I have a lot of other things to do. So I guess until next time, you guys, take care.